Killeen police are investigating two separate deadly shootings that happened late last night. In total, 3 people died. Another person was injured.
This all unfolded within just hours on different sides of town. One of those shootings involved 2 police officers, and the other shooting, investigators are still trying to find any possible suspects. But first, we begin with the shooting that involved those police officers. That happened last night around 9 p.m. near Glen Hill Court. The department is actively working the case as it develops.
Our very own 6 News reporter Sydney Deshawn is live for us from Killeen Police Headquarters and hopefully has some answers for us tonight. Sydney, what can you tell us now about the investigation?
Yeah, guys, we know one 25-year-old man is dead. Chief Pete Lopez tells me this is being investigated as an officer-involved shooting, but that could change when the autopsy report comes out. Now, this all happened last night at 9:09 when Bell County Dispatch received a call about a man armed with a gun near Glen Hill Court in Killeen. A Killeen police officer arrived at the scene at 9:17. Lopez says the officer saw a man walking around in circles with a backpack. The officer then called for backup. A second officer got there at 9:24, according to Lopez. Together, the 2 approached the man and asked him to put the backpack down. The officer said the man reached into his backpack for a weapon. They say the man moved it into an upward and outward fashion. At that point, one of the officers fired his gun. Lopez says it's unclear if the officer actually shot him because he says as the officer fired his weapon, the man placed his gun to the right side of his head and pulled the trigger. Officers say they called for EMS, but the 25-year-old died on the scene.
I think it just really brought to my mind that life is really short. And to just really love on your neighbors. You know, I wish that I knew my neighbors better to reach out to them and see how we could rally, but we do have our Facebook group and everyone was very supportive. You know, I know there's a lot of assumptions swirling and I just don't want to add to that. I still love living here. I won't move from here. It's a great community and I don't feel unsafe, and I think it's really just an isolated incident.
Now, the officer who fired will be placed on administrative leave until the investigation is complete. Lopez added that the department is looking at adding a mental health corresponder. This is something that's going to be discussed in upcoming city council meetings. But for now, the department is conducting their own internal investigation. We'll be sure to follow this story as it develops. But for now, live in Killeen, Sydney Deshawn, 6 News.
And we just want to remind everybody, if you're struggling with any mental health issues, just dial 988. So just push 988 and get yourself some help. Thank you, Sydney. Meanwhile, in a separate deadly shooting, 2 other people were killed last night in Killeen. Right now, police do not have any suspects.
2 men and 1 woman were shot overnight on Adams Avenue near North Fort Hood Street. When police arrived, they tried to help a 51-year-old man who'd been shot, but he died. A 35-year-old man was also rushed to the ER. He also died from his injuries. A 30-year-old woman was injured but survived. Chief of police say a bullet grazed the side of her face. She is expected to be okay. Right now, investigators have not determined what led up to that shooting. The chief said witnesses gave conflicting statements involving domestic disturbance or drugs. Police ask if you know anything, get in touch with the Bell County Crime Stoppers. You can provide anonymous tips and receive a cash reward. This marks the 10th and 11th murders in Killeen this year.